Hey, it's David. Welcome to A Changed Mind, a sanctuary for your spirit, a place where each and every episode I remind you of the certainty of the goodness of the future. I'm your friend, your host, your guide, David Bayer. There is a theme that runs through everything I teach, everything I live, everything the show is about, and that is the certainty of the goodness of the future. It is not a fluffy affirmation. This is not some vague spiritual idea, but it is an empirical truth. Because if we are the ones creating our own realities, and we are, then reality is simply a mirror of our collective consciousness, and consciousness itself is always improving. It's always evolving. It's always expanding. It's always seeking greater coherence and love. Consciousness does not move backwards. It does not evolve. It only refines. And that means the outer world, which is nothing but a reflection of our consciousness, must also get better. And that is not just optimism, that is law, and that is the topic of today's conversation. So, look, first and foremost, I understand the dark systems. So let me be clear. I'm not living in some sparkly Pollyanna world. I spent the last 20 years studying the architecture of centralized power, governments, intelligence agencies, global manipulation, media control, corporate capture. Much of what's now coming to light about corruption and lies and deep state agendas, I learned decades ago from a group of brilliant young conspiracy theorists who I employed in one of my earlier businesses. So when I speak about the certainty of goodness, it's not because I'm unaware of what's wrong. I've seen it, I've tracked it, I've studied the shadow, but here's what I know. All of those things, the wars, the lies, the control systems, are just the external manifestation of unprocessed trauma. Now, I've talked about this in other episodes. You can check them out, especially if you follow on YouTube. They've got some glitzy, glamoury, New World Order type of thumbnails with pictures of Bill Gates and George Soros and a bunch of the other main characters in this story. But those external projections are the byproducts of wounded, fragmented consciousness. So if you think about it, like those things that we see out there that create fear, that's just unmetabolized fear inside of us. And we are the byproduct of thousands of years of the evolution of a species, really 70,000 years if you go back to the original Homo sapien, that has been raping and pillaging and destroying each other. So there's a lot of held trauma. So we're afraid. We live in financial insecurity. We're worried that we're not going to have enough. We're worried about those in power abusing us because that's what happened both in our families and at a kingdom level. And so this distorted representation of the true kingdom, which is the only kingdom, which is a loving kingdom, is in the process of reorganizing itself. That process is the evolution of consciousness, or what we're calling civilization. And so we're seeing the trappings of that in our external reality, but we can't get trapped by it. And there are a lot of people out there right now who are buying into the doom and gloom. But the truth is that as more of us heal, as more of us awaken, these systems will change. The old systems will dissolve because they were never real to begin with. They were just projections of fear and separation and pain. And when those states of being are transmuted, are alchemized, so is the world. So this is why I'm not afraid. We are expressions of consciousness. You and I, all sentient beings, living creatures on the planet, frankly, even the inert matter, the material world, are an expression or a projection of consciousness. Living, breathing, awareness, shaping form with thought and vibration. And as consciousness evolves, so must everything that is consciousness. So when you hear people say, oh, but what about World War III, or what about the next pandemic, or what about inflation or totalitarian control? Yes, those narratives exist, but number one, pay attention to who's feeding you those narratives, because it's the same people that benefit from you being in fear. And they don't worry me, because they are still part of the old world's frequency. And I no longer spend most of my time there. You know, I think it was Jesus or somebody who said, like, I'm in the world, but not of it. That's that Christ consciousness that's being activated within all of us, no matter what religion you come from or what you believe. There is a high vibrational frequency that is rising within all of us. That is the return of Christ. I think it's funny, you know, I love watching the series, The Chosen. It gives you at least a perspective on what it must have been like to experience Jesus at that time. And, you know, at least as told through that series, the story was Jesus was going to become this mighty warrior that like showed up with his army to overthrow centralized power, which was Roman rule at that time. And it wasn't. It was this evolved human being that had mastered his mind and mastered his emotions. So he was able to not give a lot of attention to that which he did not believe in, but bring his energy to the possibility that he did believe in. As a result of that, we had demonstrations that we call miracles of the ability to control your mind and put your attention on those things that you want to create. But a lot of people today believe the same thing, like Jesus is going to come back. I heard Rogan talking about it, right? And it was just conjecture, but he's like, can you imagine if Jesus just came back? Well, guess what? Jesus has come back. It is the reawakening of that frequency of love and compassion and spiritual connection and oneness with all that is, that Jesus referred to as the Father, that is awakening within all of us. And so I've checked out of that old timeline and into the new one. And many of you have too. We don't do it perfectly. Some days we're living in the old frequency. Some days we're living in the new frequency. But we're not here to play the fear game. That's not why you came. You came to transcend fear. We're not here to argue about what's wrong. We came here to create what's right. Right? So, and that's not delusion. We're not here to decide what we want to endure, but instead build the change we want to see in the world. That's higher order creation. That's real sovereignty. Hey, it's David. Quick interruption to your regularly scheduled podcast episode. I want to let you know about an opportunity to go even deeper into this work together. If you have not yet, please check out the show notes. In there, we've got links to both our Mind Hack and our Whole Human Framework programs. Our Mind Hack course is an incredible framework. It's the foundation of everything that I teach on this show to help you understand how to become deeply aware of the subconscious programs that are holding you back and to teach you the technologies and frameworks to allow you to dramatically transform those belief systems and rewire your brain. Again, the Mind Hack program is our 7-day self-paced program. We also have our 12-week course, The Whole Human Framework. And we've got both of them right now bundled in a special offer for those of you who want to go big, want to go fast, and who understand that you don't want to put off another day of your full potential or holding on to unnecessary stress, anxiety, or suffering, but you want to be liberated from these habits of thinking and have a powerful living experience. Check out the link in the show notes. Jump on over to the website. Take a look at the programs and the extraordinary success stories of entrepreneurs just like you who have gone through these courses, and I will see you on the other side. And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast episode. And so right now, there are two very different worlds coexisting side by side, two parallel realities anchored in two different levels of consciousness. One world is filled with people who are evolving, they're healing, they're becoming more patient, more loving, more connected to spirit, to source, to God. These are the people who are learning to create from the inside out. And they're not just talking about change, they are the change. It's like what Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. They're not asking who's to blame, they're asking what am I being invited to embody now? How is this thing that is occurring in the world helping me get even more clarity around the change that I want to see and I want to be in the world? And that's you. That's why you're here. That's why you're drawn to this episode. It's a frequency. It's an energy. I'm not sharing with you information that's inside of me. I'm simply transmitting information that you've been asking for because it is the answer to your questions and it is part of you progressing to that next level of your own personal consciousness. And there's the other world, right? The world of greater separation, greater blame, greater rage, where people are doubting or doubling down on anger, even under new leadership. You know, the last administration lied about wars and pandemics, and the new one just weaponizes a different form of outrage. It's still anger, it's still fear, it's still a trauma loop. Some people are more scared, more accusatory, more divided than ever. But here's the good news, and why I believe in the certainty of the goodness of the future. You have a choice whether or not you want to live in that world and which world you want to live in. You don't have to participate in that conversation, as alluring and attractive as it is, because it draws the anger that is still inside of us out. Just notice how addictive, it's like pornography, a lot of this political conversation can be, but you can opt out of the blame game entirely. And I really think that that's what this community is. Whether this is your first episode, your second, or your 100th episode, the listeners of this show are choosing a different reality. We're no longer consumed by what we hate. We're driven by and inspired by and focused on what we want to create. We're no longer obsessed with fighting what's broken. We're obsessed with building what's beautiful. And we take personal responsibility, knowing that everything out there, we're creating. We know that our lives are ours. We don't blame others for our problems because we know our power. And when something shows up that we don't like, we don't make a war with it. We use it as a catalyst, as a clarifier, as a contrast that refines the next layer of what we want. And that's what it means to be a conscious creator. That's what it means to live as a multidimensional being. You don't just observe reality, you sculpt it. Are we perfect at it on a day-to-day basis? No. Just like even the world's greatest athletes are not perfect in their performance on the court, but we know the game, we understand the rules, and we're working on running better and better plays. Now, here's something I want you to remember. One person vibrating at a high level of consciousness out-influences millions who are operating in fear or anger. And so this isn't about numbers. It's about frequency. It's about energy. It's about field coherence. If even one of us lives in alignment with love, clarity, and inner peace, the entire collective field shifts. And not only does the field shift and so reality shifts, but the field, because it has shifted, becomes even more accessible to those people who are trailing behind you. So imagine what happens when tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people start doing the same. Imagine the tipping point that we're already reaching. And that's why I say with total certainty, the future must be good. Not because I'm pretending the darkness in the current context doesn't exist, not because I think the system will fix itself, not because I have blind faith, but because I understand how consciousness works. Because I know that intelligence, divine intelligence, is always expanding, and we are expressions of that intelligence. And as consciousness evolves, so must our systems, our governments, our relationship, our economy, our health, our experience of the world. So yes, is the world changing? 100%. And some of that change may feel uncomfortable. Is this a straight line? Absolutely not. There's ups, there's downs, just like there are in the journey of our own personal growth and our own personal evolution. But it's moving in the right direction. It can't not. So this is not conjecture. It is law. It is physics. It is not theory. And you're already part of the shift, right? If you're listening to this episode and this resonates with you, it's because you're already part of the shift. You've already chosen a new timeline. You're already living in a different world. And the more you master staying in that world, the more you learn to master your attention, and the more you stay in the frequency, the faster the illusion of fear dissolves. First in our own lives, and then we see it at a global macro level. And so this isn't about what's fighting what's wrong, right? This isn't about a war on terror or a war on drugs or a war on the left or a war on the right or a war on anyone, even the people that we think are the wrongdoers. This is about becoming what's next. You are evidence that the future is good, and the future is right here, right now. And you are the embodiment of where we're going. Every day it's a practice, and we get better and better and better at it. So, if this speaks to you, if this resonates with you, do me a favor. 2 things. Number 1, if you're listening on the audio platform, subscribe. I want you to know when new episodes come out. And if you would, leave me a rating or review. I love waking up to my morning coffee, getting that little notification from Apple or Spotify that somebody has something positive to say about what we're creating over here. Because remember, this is a co-creation between you and I. Number 2, if you're following on InStudio and YouTube, leave me a comment. This is what I think. I'm not saying it's the gospel. I mean, it's what they talked about in the gospel. But what do you think? What questions do you have? Where are we going? What are your observations? What are your yeah buts? And just let me know if you love the episode, because I'll create more episodes like this. Or if you have any other questions, subscribe, hit that bell icon so that you get a reminder. And number 1 thing, pay this forward. I bet you there was someone in your life right now who's still caught in the fear narrative. Share this episode with them, not to convince them, but to remind them that a different future is already here. The goodness is certain. The only question is whether or not we choose to see it. So I love you so much. We will keep on keeping on together, and I will see you in the next episode. Hey, it's David. Hop on over to davidbear.com. Click right here. There's also a link in the show notes, and sign up for our newsletter. You'll get immediate access to my free Mind Hack ebook, as well as a couple of trainings to help you master the inner game. This is a great way to stay informed and be a part of our community and be notified of special announcements. Click below, head on over to the website, get subscribed. If you loved this video, make sure you check out this one or this one, and I will see you in the next video.